Hey, my friends, grace, mercy, and peace to you today. 6 million Americans on average have watched the ESPN documentary The Last Dance over the last few weeks. Maybe you're one of them. I know Darcy and I have been two of them. We've watched it every week. And now The Last Dance is a documentary about the 1998 Chicago Bulls NBA team as they pursued the championship that year. It looks at the other seasons for the Bulls from the 80s into the 90s, looking at each player, and in particular, Michael Jordan, arguably the best basketball player the NBA has ever seen. Michael Jordan is amazing. I mean, it's inspiring to watch him. He's an excellent basketball player. And you see him on and off the court. I was reminded of the slogan from 1992, I want to be like Mike. And in those days, we all wanted to be like Mike. I wanted to be like Mike. And I thought, my name is Mike. I'm part of the way there. And so I was been inspired the last few weeks to revive my basketball career. Here we go. We're going to revive this thing. I mean, admittedly, it ended after my 8th grade season, and I was 14 years old. It's been a long time since then, since I played competitive basketball. Yeah, I get it, but it's never too late to begin. You and I both know that. So I always thought I could be like Mike on the basketball court. It just takes some practice, takes some effort. So this week, I played some basketball with our boys. Take a look.
Over here.
There you go.
You gotta shoot it hard.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to play some basketball with Nathan, Josh, Nathan. The beginning begins now. Today, I got to knock the rust off. It's been a long time since I played some competitive basketball, but I'm 2/3 the way there. I got the right name, Mike. I've got the right shorts, the Jordan shorts right there. I just gotta get back in the groove. Gotta get back in the game. So, here we go. You guys ready? Let's go. Let's do this. Here, pass me the ball. Pass me, Pat. Over here. You think you got this? Let's go. Oh no, you're not gonna get past me. What? That's a foul! Think you can guard me? Huh? You got this? Oh wait, watch this. 3, 2, 1. Wow. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. I'm not sure what you think. I know what I think. I'm pretty good, right? I'm pretty good. I mean, it's been 35 years since I played competitive basketball, but it feels like it's been 35 hours or even 35 minutes. It felt like I picked up right where I left off. I mean, that was amazing. I've not seen that. I think I owe it. I owe it to the NBA to pursue this. I owe it to Michael Jordan. I don't know Michael Jordan, but I owe it to him to pursue this in my life. I owe it to him. I owe it to you to pursue this. Right? No, I mean, and I think about it, it's going to take a lot of time. It would take me away from my family if I pursue that. It would take away my time from us, all of us. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let that excellent way for me, I'm going to let that go. And maybe there's a different excellent way. And let's dig into what Paul says in 1 Corinthians about an excellent way. So here's what Paul says. He says, I will show you, in chapter 12, verse 29, I will show you the most excellent way. You know, when I read that, I thought, what is that excellent way? I mean, if it's not a skill, I mean, think about where he's putting this. This is on the heels of chapter 12. If you read chapter 12, or you go back and read it, chapter 12 is about spiritual gifts, the talents we bring, the contributions we make in the world, the ways God's designed us to contribute gracefully and powerfully, to give and to be generous in this world and in the church and all these places. But then he says, that's not the excellent way. That's a great way. It's not the excellent way. So if it's not skill development, if it's not career development, maybe there's something even deeper that is the excellent way. And what does Paul say is the excellent way? Now I'm going to show you, Paul says, the most excellent way. It's not talent. It's not gifts. It's something different and something deeper. Well, he starts talking about love. Love is the most excellent way. That deep, abiding, unconditional, God-like love is the most excellent way. Now, for example, so if I were to take Jesus aside and say, Jesus, tell us about your life and the 33 years you spent on this planet. What would you say is the quality of your life? Jesus, would you say it was a 1 that was drudgery, bland, boring, or would you say it was a 10 is the best life ever? The best life ever. This drips with meaning. Or was it a number in between, Jesus? And what would you say that number might be? Well, I know what I think he would say. I think he would say it was a 10. Because love is the excellent way. And Jesus is love. And matter of fact, the scriptures say that God is love. And if Paul's saying that love is the excellent way, Jesus lived an excellent life because he is love. God is love. And look how Paul describes love. Love is embodied. It's not a motivator, it's an embodied love. Paul says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. And so you can even insert God in that. God is patient. God is kind. God does not envy. God does not boast. God is not proud because God is love. The excellent way is a life that embodies love, just as Jesus lived on this planet, embodying love in any and every circumstance that he found himself in, even the most dire circumstances of the day of his death. He embodied love. They couldn't take that away from him. They can take away his breath. They can take away his life. They cannot take away his love. And he lived excellently from beginning to end because it was part of who he is. It wasn't just part. It was who he is. It is who he is because he lives today. That is the excellent way, the way of love. Love that permeates everything we do. Now, if you looked at chapter 13, if we were to unpack it even farther and even deeper, as we look at what Paul is saying love is not a motivating factor for behavior. In other words, I've got a talent. If I just add some love into it, I'm living an excellent life. Because if that was the case, really the gifts are the ways I'm getting an excellent life. But he's saying love is not the motivating factor for things. It's not my behavior that's love. It's my being that's love. It's who I am. God is love, and then we say we are love because the one who loves us fills us and we become love to the world. Perfectly imperfect. Now, Bob Goff, a great author and a speaker, wrote this book called Love Does. I encourage you to read it. If you've not read it before, go out there and buy it, read it, listen to it on Audible, whatever. But pay attention to what Bob Goff says. That Bob Goff says, love does. Love is an action, not just a feeling. It's sacrificial. And in that book, there's a chapter called Bigger and Better. And he's talking about how we trade things for bigger and better. And I was thinking about that chapter title in that book, Bigger and Better. And so many times that we think as human beings that if I get a bigger and better life, I want to get bigger and better in my physical health. I want to get bigger and better home. I want to get a bigger and better career. I want to get a bigger and better whatever. And what Paul is saying is, if you want to live a bigger and better life, the excellent life that Jesus lived, dig into loving well, embodying love. That's living the bigger and better life. Love that is sacrificial. Love that is the action, patient and kind and humble, and all these qualities that Paul lists in 1 Corinthians 13. That is the excellent way. Here's what happens when love happens. When love shows up, freedom emerges. You know, we listened to, as a staff, we went to virtually the Orange Conference a couple weeks ago. And one of the speakers was Danielle Strickland, a great leader in the church today. And Danielle Strickland said that love is a revolution that cannot be stopped. And she goes down through the history of different people that are embodying love, that changed societies, that changed cultures, that changed lives because of love. Love can never be stopped. It's a revolution that cannot be stopped. Love changes lives. And so if you want to be part of a revolution that changes the world, that changes families, that changes individuals, that changes neighborhoods, that changes societies, love. Embody love. Embrace the excellent way of love. Not just think about it, but embrace it. Invest yourself. Just as Michael Jordan invested time and energy to be the best basketball player on the court, we as Christians, who are followers of Jesus, invest ourselves. We put ourselves in a position to play that game, quote unquote game, the game of love. We become that on the world's stage. We become love to our neighbors, and we create and we sustain the revolution of love that began in the beginning of time, that was amplified in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, and it continues to amplify today. You and I are a revolution of love. And God is calling you and I to step into this moment, to be the revolution of love for the sake of our neighbors and our world around us. Now you might be saying to yourself, Mike, that's a tall order. You might be saying, look, I have a hard time loving. I've not had great models of love in the past. And maybe you're saying, look, in my home right now, there's been a lot of hurts, and there's some building resentments and some bitterness. There's unforgiveness there. And there's things, Mike, you just don't understand, that I can't love. And I get it. Look, I've been in those places as well. And this time in pandemic, when we've been at stay-at-home orders, it's for some families, it's been really stressful. It's caused increased disruption in relationships between parents and children, between spouses. It's caused disruptions within our society and caused some bitterness and resentments to build up. I understand. And while that is true, and I recognize and I empathize with every single one of us that are in that place, that doesn't take away the calling to embody love, to be part of the revolution of love. It just means we have some work to do to move through those places. We just can't stay there. Those are real feelings. Those are real hurts. That's real bitterness. That's real resentment. I understand, but we just can't make our home there. We need to move through it as God's people to embody the revolution, to embody love, the excellent way, to do the hard work. And it's interesting what Paul says right before the verse that I read about the excellent way. Paul says this: now eagerly desire the greater gifts. As I said before, this love chapter is coming off of the chapter about the spiritual gifts, how we contribute practically. And then he's saying about love, and he's saying eagerly desire the greater gifts of faith, hope, and love, which is the greatest gift, Paul says at the end of chapter 13. Eagerly desire. So while you and I might have resentments and unforgiveness and bitterness and wounds and hurts that are very, very real, my question is, do you have desire? Do you have that deep desire to want to move through that you don't want to stay there? And if you have desire, you have the beginnings of a revolution in yourself. The revolution of love begins in you to take over and to push out that which is keeping us captive. Those resentments, those wounds, those hurts. Saying their freedom is coming in your soul. Because there's a desire for freedom. There's a desire, an eager desire for the greater gifts of love and faith and hope. And the greatest of these is love. Is that desire in you? And if that desire is in you, like a spark on a flaming bonfire. It begins with a spark and a breath. Like a let the breath of God breathe on that desire. Let the breath of God blow on those sparks, and that spark is going to become a flame, and the flame is going to ignite some wood, and the flame is going to take over, and eventually, that deep desire is going to take off into an embodied life, which is the life of love, the most excellent way out there. So don't quench the desire to move through those times of bitterness and anger and resentments and hurts and unforgiveness. Instead, stay there, but blow on that deep desire for the excellent way. And let God do the work of revolution within you and let it come out. And let love take over and let love spill out of you and overflow to your friends, your neighbors, to your family, to your kids, to your spouse. Let them say, "What has happened to you? What has happened to you? You are a different person." And you say, "Yes, because God's love has taken me over. God's love is permeating my little toe. God's love is permeating the sinews in my knees. God's love is permeating my voice, my syllables. God's love is permeating every part of my body. And I want to embody God's love to this world." Are you in, my friend? This is the excellent way. And we need excellent people like you and me, ordinary people, to want to embrace this way. The way of Jesus in this world, the way of love. And I am perfectly imperfect. I'm the first one to say, I'm not great at this at all. But I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to move forward. How about you? And if you're with me, let's do that. Let's create a revolution starting today. This revolution of love, of unconditional love and forgiveness and kindness and patience and humility to this world. Are you with me? Let's go, my friend. It begins today. Let's go. Come, Holy Spirit. Fill us with your presence. Breathe your breath in us and fan into flame your love that's deep in us, that you desire to take over, to share as a blessing to those around us.